In a dramatic move that's already sending shockwaves through the U.S. economy, Canada has just passed a sweeping new trade law in 2025, one that prioritizes domestic production, imposes heavy restrictions on certain U.S. imports, and enforces carbon tariffs on American goods deemed environmentally harmful. This isn't just a minor policy shift, it's a full-scale economic pivot, one that could trigger disaster for key parts of the United States. But the effects aren't being felt equally. Some states may scrape by. Others, they're staring down full-blown collapse. Industries grinding to a halt, exports vanishing, and jobs disappearing by the thousand. The once strong trade bridges between Canadian provinces and American states are cracking fast. And for entire communities built on those partnerships, the impact is already being felt. So which states are most at risk of collapsing first? Let's break down the top 10. But before we begin, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more in-depth looks at global economic shifts and how they hit home. Number 1, Michigan. Among all U.S. states, Michigan is facing a perfect storm. At the core of its economy is the auto industry, a sector deeply tied to cross-border trade with Ontario. But Canada's new trade law directly targets carbon-heavy industries. That means internal combustion engine manufacturing, Detroit's bread and butter, is now under fire. Canada is enforcing border carbon adjustments, essentially a new tax on goods that don't meet strict environmental standards. U.S.-made engines, steel, and plastic components are suddenly more expensive and less attractive to Canadian buyers. Ontario's car manufacturers and dealers are pivoting fast, turning to local or European suppliers. It's already hitting home. Ford, GM, and Stellantis are scaling back production in Michigan plants. The once bustling Detroit-Windsor corridor is now tangled in red tape, audits, and shipment delays. And it's not just the auto giants. Small suppliers, logistics companies, and machine shops are folding under the pressure. Cities like Flint, Lansing, and Saginaw are seeing property demand collapse. Unemployment is rising, and union leaders are begging for state-level emergency relief. Michigan's collapse isn't on the horizon, it's already here. Number 2, New York. Upstate New York is reeling. Cities like Buffalo, Niagara Falls, and Plattsburgh once thrived thanks to close economic ties with Ontario and Quebec. Now, those ties are fraying fast. Canada's new trade law introduces strict sanitary and origin rules for agricultural imports. New York farmers exporting dairy, apples, and maple products are drowning in paperwork and losing long-standing contracts overnight. Entire harvests are being trashed. Farmers are watching decades-old partnerships dissolve in days. But it's not just agribusiness. Tourism is taking a massive hit. Canada has slashed incentives for cross-border travel, and more Canadians are choosing to vacation at home. Foot traffic in New York's border towns has hit record lows. Hotels are laying off staff. Buses and shuttles across the border are shutting down routes. And with manufacturing exports to Quebec also in decline, New York's economy is unraveling across its northern half. For many of these small towns, there's no plan B. Number 3, Ohio. Ohio's manufacturing backbone is cracking under pressure. The state has long been a top exporter to Canada, shipping everything from machinery to chemicals. But Canada's new green preference clause, requiring buyers to choose low-carbon suppliers, has turned Ohio's fossil fuel-based industries into liabilities. In places like Toledo, Akron, and Youngstown, metal plants are laying off workers. Export orders from Ontario are down more than 40% in just the first quarter of 2025. Even chemical companies are losing contracts to competitors in Germany and South Korea who offer greener certifications, and many of these towns were still clawing their way back from the last industrial downturn. This shockwave is sending them into freefall. Investor confidence is fading, state officials are scrambling, and economists warn a full-blown recession is looming if nothing changes soon. Number 4, Washington. It may be known for tech, but Washington state is also heavily reliant on exports, especially to British Columbia and Alberta. Ports in Seattle and Tacoma used to thrive on shipments of agricultural goods, aerospace components, and machinery. Now, they're a shadow of their former selves. Canada's new import certification rules and environmental audits are delaying or rejecting shipments left and right. Washington's apples, wheat, and wine are getting stuck at the border. Aerospace parts are flagged, renegotiated, or canceled outright. In April and May, U.S. wildfires are going under. Freight companies are idling trucks, and the software sector isn't spared either. Canada's new cybersecurity and data laws are locking out U.S. tech providers. British Columbia is building homegrown supply chains, and Washington is getting left behind. Number 5, Minnesota. During several months of COVID, different states passed calculations and ordinances to determine their taming of SBS. Minnesota's quiet trade reliance is turning into a full-blown crisis. For years, the state maintained deep ties with Manitoba and Ontario through agriculture, mining, and forestry. But Canada's 2025 law now demands sustainability and labor certifications that many Minnesota producers can't afford. Lumber shipments are down, paper mills are closing, iron ore exports are stuck at Duluth Port, even farmers are losing ground, as subsidized Canadian producers now dominate the market. The ripple effect is hitting healthcare and education too. Canadian patients and students, once a steady source of revenue for Minnesota clinics and colleges, are staying home. Funding is vanishing, programs are being cut. Minnesota is unraveling one sector at a time. Number 6, Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania's energy-heavy economy is crashing into a wall. Canada's 2025 law blocks imports from suppliers on fossil fuel-heavy grids, which is bad news for Pennsylvania's coal and gas-powered industries. Steel, cement, and chemicals are all facing huge carbon penalties. Canadian buyers are walking away, construction companies are turning to Europe and Scandinavia instead. Pharmaceuticals aren't spared either. Tighter safety inspections have caused massive delays, and major plants in Scranton and Allentown are laying off workers. Freight traffic is slowing. Warehouses are closing, and industrial zones are nearing collapse. Number 7, Illinois. Illinois is facing trade isolation. With Chicago as a major export hub, the state once moved mountains of food, electronics, and machinery to Canada. Not anymore. Canada's new food laws are slamming Illinois hard. Processed foods and frozen goods now face mountains of documentation, health checks, and customs delays. Smaller producers can't keep up. Machinery exports are dropping too. Canadian builders need green-certified equipment, and Illinois-made tools no longer make the cut. Rail freight between Chicago and Toronto is down nearly 50%. Trucking, warehousing, and shipping companies are laying off thousands. If this keeps up, Illinois could lose billions in 2025 alone. Number 8, North Dakota. North Dakota may be small, but it's dangerously exposed. Its economy is built on energy and agriculture, both hit hard by Canada's trade shift. Canada has cut off fossil fuel energy imports, gutting demand for North Dakota's Bakken oil and gas. Pipelines are being shut down. On the farm front, wheat and barley exports are being rejected over pesticide and GMO rules. Small towns are being hollowed out, farms are going bankrupt. The state is facing a migration crisis as young people leave and land values tank. Without intervention, North Dakota could enter a years-long depression. Number 9, Wisconsin. Wisconsin's dairy industry is collapsing. Cheese, milk powder, and dairy equipment once flowed freely to Canada, but Canada's new law now blocks U.S. dairy exports on food security grounds, labeling them as low priority, highly subsidized, and often hormone-treated. Shipments are being turned back, co-ops are going under, processing plants are shuttering, and dairy farms are culling livestock because they simply can't sell the milk. Even manufacturers of dairy equipment are getting hit. Orders have vanished, Protests are growing, but no relief can replace the billions of dollars in trade that disappeared overnight. As Canada doubles down on protectionist, climate-groggy policy, telephone call geo-states and global trade, these 10 U.S. states are staring down a harsh new reality. Lost jobs, shuttered factories, entire communities unraveling. This isn't just a trade dispute, it's a turning point in North American economics. Unless new agreements are reached or the U.S. launches a counter-strategy, these states may never fully recover. What do you think? Should the U.S. fight back with its own tariffs, or is it time to renegotiate the relationship? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and if you found this video insightful, be sure to like and subscribe for more updates on global policy shifts, economic trends, and how they're reshaping everyday American life. Thanks for watching, and stay informed.